I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
August 25th. Clive Barker invites you to witness the future of terror. Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions. Rated R. Starts Friday, August 25th at theaters everywhere.
Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another review. This is a PayPal request for Jameson. One of my thoughts on the 1995 film Lord of Illusions. Now, thank you so much for that. If anyone was ever interested in requesting reviews or re-reviews or any other type of videos, you can either do so directly via my PayPal or by joining my Patreon. The links are down below in the info box. But Lord of Illusions is a Clive Barker film. Might have been the last film he directed. I could be wrong on that. And he didn't direct a lot. I know he did Hellraiser, Nightbreed, this movie. I don't know if he directed anything else. And I enjoy this film. I always thought this was a pretty decent flick. The movie stars Scott Bakula, who I'm a big fan of. I watched him a lot on the TV show Quantum Leap. It was cool to see him in this kind of role as a private eye detective in an R-rated movie dealing with illusions and magic. And apparently the character he plays, Harry D'Amour, that was a character Clive Barker used in a lot of his stories. And maybe if this was successful, we would have had more journeys of that character played by Scott Bakula. I would love to have seen that, because I think Scott Bakula did a great job playing this role. He was very likable. I bought him in the bits of action, and it was cool seeing an actor I liked play in this playground. And I thought the story was interesting, where back to the day, Kevin J. O'Connor, he was in Deep Rising, he was in The Mummy, he was in a bunch of other stuff. Him and some others try to stop this guy who is leader of this cult. See flesh with a god's eyes. And they stop him. And they save this little girl. And they put him into this prison. Bury him in the ground. Put this steel mask on him. As if he's the fucking man in the iron mask. And 13 years later, Scott Bakula is his private eye, who was previously part of his exorcism. And he seems like a character that is drawn to evil encounters. And he gets put on this case. It's supposed to be a normal, typical case. And he inadvertently stumbles into this crazier case where he finds this guy bloodied up and all these pins and nails in him. And there's a guy there, and he punches a guy, pushes him out the fucking window. And that's the start of this new journey for this character Scott Bakula plays, as one person calls it. You must walk the line between heaven and hell. And even though he's been stabbed up a bit, he's still able to chat with Scott Bakula. And that guy we saw earlier in the film, Kevin J. O'Connor, he's now this famous illusionist. And this is the start of the journey where Scott Bakula was pulling to all these illusions and magic and what's fake and what's real and meeting these other illusionists. And it's a film noir, a little bit of a mystery mixed in with horror and that Clive Barker sensibility. You had a little bit of romance between Scott and Famke Janssen, which she was with Kevin J. O'Connor in Deep Rising. I think after this actually came out, because this was 95 and that was later. I thought it had a lot of fun, interesting sequences. The scene where Kevin J. O'Connor's character of Swan, he does his show with swords and things go wrong and he's getting impaled with these swords. Or there's bits of humor I thought worked. Like when he's talking to these other illusionists, including Vincent Schiavelli, who's a good character actor. And he's kind of making fun of him. He's like, nice accent. The guy, what is that, Brooklyn? Hey, fuck you, all right? He just pisses Scott Bakula's character. Or trying to research these documents, and there's this brain type of monster, but it's actually a hologram. So again, it's trying to make you think, well, what's real, what's not. And in a way, that whole part with dealing with this private eye delving into this world of magicians and talking with all these different characters, and is Swan, did he die or did he fake his death? In a way, Sally, that was more interesting than the main villain. Now, don't get me wrong, the guy who plays the main villain is fine, plays the character Nix. But Sally, if I were to say what was the least interesting part of this film, it would be the ending. Now, it's not a bad ending, it's not awful or downbeat or sequel bait ending, so I'm fine with it. But again, if you were to ask me what was the least interesting part of the film, it was the third act when Scott Bakula and some others, they go to this area, which is the area at the beginning, where it's this place in the middle of nowhere in the desert, to stop Nix, who has been brought back, who was the cult leader at the beginning, and is now going to sacrifice Famke Janssen, who was the girl at the beginning, but much older now. And I don't know, I don't know what it was. Maybe because a number of reasons. Nix will affect people's minds, and then when they look, they see people fall apart, and those effects don't really hold up that well in today, where Nix is making people like Scott Bakula think that these folks are falling apart, which the idea is horrific, but the way it looks is a bit hokey. In today's age, is a bit hokey looking, and it's not as horrifying as maybe it did to people in 1995. It just doesn't look that good today. Maybe because there's a bunch of these cultists that cut their hair, and I believe if you watch the director's cut, you actually see these people who go back to being the cult members of Nix, them turn and fuck up the people in their family. They don't really do much at the end. Pretty much Nix goes, none of you are worthy, and sinks them into this quicksand and kind of makes them part of the floor. Would have been nice if Scott Bakula battled these cultists. I mean, he is a private eye. He's got a fucking gun. Battle this guy and this guy and this, him and shoot one or punch one. I think that would have been more interesting, more exciting of an ending. And then the way Nix dies is kind of anticlimactic, because Swan, Kevin J. O'Connor's character, rises Scott Bakula up. He kind of floats, and Nix is just standing there like, whoop-de-doo. And then like, and that's pretty much it, how he kills the bad guy. I went, That's all it took. You didn't need the floor. You could have just jumped and just drop kick the motherfucker. If that's all it took, or I guess if you're floating this far up from the ground, then Knicks can't handle that. So I just thought that whole finale was a bit the build up interesting bits. Like there's a guy that he fights, I didn't mention this part, where he's looking into the death of the Swan character, the illusionist, and he fights this guy and he's able to impale him, and then the other side of the guy of this impalement is just this red sand seeping through and into the ground. Or when he's bedded Famke Janssen's character, he's walking and you have this almost fire creature kind of creeping up on him. And if you see the marketing, the shot where he turns and does this, which granted the effects don't work the best of that today either. But I like the idea behind it. I like the visually, it's not 100% great in today's standards, but I said, the ideas behind it. And the interest into this world of illusions and this, in a weird way, grounded. Because him and the environment is grounded, but you have this crazy stuff happening. But then when you're in the middle of the desert and this place that looks like the fucking Alamo was fought over, I said the ending wasn't bad. I just thought it could have been better. Maybe more inventive or more into the death of Nyx. Maybe actually battling the cults instead of the bad guy just descending them into the floor and be like, you're not worthy. So just maybe don't know what the fuck was the point of them in the first place. What was the point of having all these cultists in the first place? They didn't even need to be there then. But overall, I do enjoy the film. I like Scott Bakula. I think Clive Barker's direction is pretty competent. It's a good-looking film. Sadly, I did not get the Blu-ray before it went out of print by Stream Factory, which fucking sucks. But oh well. I found it online to watch, but that's why sometimes you gotta pick up these Blu-rays sometime, because they tend to go out of print. Like Leviathan, sadly, that Blu-ray went out of print. Lord of Illusions did before I picked it up. That's my own fault. But yeah, it's a good movie. I like the world he built up, Clive Barker's character. I mean, his creation, his writing. And I did like Scott Bakula's character. I would love to have seen him in other situations. It doesn't have to be illusions, but it could be... You know how they took Tommy Lee Jones' character in The Fugitive, then they made U.S. Marshals, which I don't mind, that film. That would have been cool to see, or even Dirty Harry. But then you had Magnum Force and the Deadpool, and before that, The Enforcer and Sudden Impact. They could do that with Scott Bakula's character. That would have been interesting. Like different horrors. I think it would have been nice to see this character. That's one of the big things I liked about this with Scott Bakula. Because he's likable, and I could buy him as tough, but he's not trying to be over the top like Adrian Brody in Predators or Christian Bale as Batman and D-Force. He's not doing that either. Underrated actor. I always thought Scott Bakula was an underrated actor. I mean, Quantum Leap, the TV show, he had to play a lot of different types of roles because of all the different... I mean, he was playing the same character, but at the same time, because of all the situations, there was a lot of stuff to partake in acting-wise, which is one of the interesting things about that show. But yeah, it would have been nice to see him get to be in more movies like this, and the horror with a teeny bit of action crowd. And yeah, overall, I enjoyed the film. I would say I liked it more than Nightbreed, because Nightbreed I always thought was I like Hellraiser. You know, I liked Hellraiser. I actually like Hellraiser 2 more. So I'd probably say I like this the best of the 3 Clive Barker films. Because I like Hellraiser, but this one... But again, with Hellraiser but I like Hellraiser 2 more. And the first Hellraiser I liked, but the story of Frank, the uncle, sucking and getting his skin... This, I was more interested in the story of the private eye going to this world of illusion and mysticism and horror. Because I like Ashley Lawrence, but she's not as focused in that movie compared to, say, Scott Bakula in this movie. I don't know if that made sense. But yeah. Pretty good flick. A little bit underrated because no one really talks about this film. I mean, more people talk about Nightbreed in this film. And it's like, I don't think Nightbreed's bad, but I think Lord of Illusions, it's a much better movie. That's just my opinion, though. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.